Hey, it's your boy Jay. We're back with another reaction. We're back again with MissKroger. Um, and we're going to do. It's an older song. I want to say it was last year, but I want to say it was also his biggest song. And it's "Dear God" by the rapper Dax. Dax has really been making a lot of noise coming up. I want to say he's from Canada, but he moved to LA, and so we're gonna react to this. Um, I'm not a very religious person. Like I went to church when I was younger, haven't been since. Um, and we'll just leave it at that. All right, let's get into it. Do you believe in God? And before we get too further, I just want to say the production value of this, and you'll see it, dude. This is like really like legit watching a movie. Like he put a lot of money to make this look like movie quality, like cinematic stuff. So
Okay.
I just want to make this clear. I am a believer, but sometimes it gets hard. My name's Dax. Dear God, there's a lot of questions that I have about the past, and I don't want to hear it from a human. You made it, so you're the last person that I'm ever gonna ask. Tell me what's real, tell me what's fake. Why is everything about you a debate? What's the point of love? Every time I showed it, I was broken, and it's forced me just to only want to hate. Why is it only...
okay, so he's starting this off, he's like, he says, I have a lot of questions about my past, but I don't want to ask anybody else because you made my past. So he only wants, God, he only wants to talk to him on why is his past like that.
Right.
So he's kind of coming in at this. I mean, he's looking like Jesus right now with the cross and the thorn. I don't know what you want to call it, crown. So he's pretty much portraying he's God in this, but he's speaking to God.
Tell me what's real, tell me what's fake. Why is everything about you a debate? What's the point of love? Every time I showed it, I was broken, and it's forced me just to only want to hate. Why is there only one you but multiple religions? Why does every conversation end in a division? Why does everybody want to tell us how to live, but they won't listen to the same damn message that they give? Tell me.
And that's another thing too. Like there is multiple religions, but it almost seems like every religion has the same God.
Yeah.
But like different prophets, like yeah, I haven't read the is it the Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah, they labeled Jesus, I believe, as a false prophet. Where the Bible puts Jesus as the Son of God. And obviously we can have a whole debate on different religions, and everybody's gonna find their religion correct regardless. We weren't there, so so yeah, there's multiple religions, and he said it well. Why is there multiple religions but only one God? And why does every conversation about go or lead into division? And and I mean, and that is true. If you put somebody who's Buddhist with somebody that's Christian, they're always, they'll agree that there's one God, but at the end of the day, they're gonna believe their religion. They're gonna believe their religion, and that's just another thing to divide people.
It's interesting. It kind of goes back on the conversation we were just having, and I think this is basically exactly what you were gonna say, but to kind of add to that, he's kind of saying the same thing. It's like there's all these religions, but if you created it, then why?
Right.
I don't know. I'm not particularly religious either, but I think it's very important to mention, and it's depicted well in this video, that all of this happened a long time ago. from like our perspective, and so it's like really hard to like narrow down the details and to kind of sort it all.
Right.
Especially since there's so many people who haven't read any religious texts. I mean, I haven't either, so
Yeah, I haven't either.
not in its entirety, and so it's like really hard to kind of, and then if there is a God, then like why are some things the way that they are,
Right.
the big question.
Yeah, definitely.
Why does every conversation end in a division? Why does everybody want to tell us how to live, but they won't listen to the same damn message that they give? Tell me how to feel.
And that's another thing too that I want to, why, and there is like I have family that's heavy into religion that says, like you should live like this, and it's just like and he says, why is everybody trying to tell us how to live, but they won't listen to the same damn message or message, like they're telling you how to live, but they're not living that way.
Right.
And I do like, my aunt didn't like my best friend because he had earrings. Okay. And then, when I got my first tattoo, she was like, why'd you do that to your body? And I'm like, 'cause it's my body, and my whole take, that my argument to her was, temples have art on the walls, and everybody, everybody's always said your body is your temple, and the art that I put on my body is almost, what would you call that? Like that you see in temples that I'm trying to think of, like the little drawings everywhere. They have a name and I can't think of it right now.
I can't think of it either.
Yeah, but that's what I put on my body. So I mean, so for them to say, like your body is your temple, you shouldn't do that. Well, there's famous temples, that you always, from the Mayans and everything else, they, body art and everything, and art just in temples and buildings has all been, I mean, obviously if you don't want to get a tattoo, that's your choice, but it doesn't it doesn't put me in an area of group, like, because they only say only God can judge, but I do feel like a lot of religion people do judge you, not on your character, but the way you look,
Right. I think to kind of go off of that, I think it's one thing that I've kind of never really understood about religion, and maybe it's just because I haven't spent enough time there. I spent a lot of time in religion and in and out of church as like an adult, and never really when I was a kid, but it's something that I kind of never really still don't understand, is that there's a lot of people who will point their fingers and kind of make choices and make decisions for you. But if it's really, if there is a God and it's his choice or his, to say what is good and what's not, then why take over that job for him, right?
Right.
If someone makes a decision, that's between them and God, in my opinion.
100%.
And maybe there's people around you, like with your aunt, maybe your aunt was worried for you and like your well-being or like the well-being of your friend, and maybe the way that she was kind of going about that was a little bit judgmental or something.
Right.
But again, and something that, I mean, I live in the South, so like I totally get it. Like there's a lot of people here who are judgmental and kind of want to be like the beacons of light and hope for a lot of people, but sometimes there is something to be said for people kind of trying to take God's job, when sometimes maybe you're meant to make certain decisions and learn those lessons,
right,
which again should be between, if God has to be part of the conversation, then that's between them and
right.
God,
100%. All right, back here.
Tell us how to live, but they won't listen to the same damn message that they give. Tell me how to feel, tell me what's wrong. I tried to call, pick up the phone, I'm on my own. Everybody said you coming back to man, why the hell's it taking so long? Why do I hurt? Why?
And that's another thing too, that he said it perfectly. He says everybody says you're coming back, so why the hell is it taking so damn long? And I've heard that my whole life, like God is coming back, or and it's just like, but is he though? Like, I mean, it's hard to explain because I've always been a man of science. Every action has a reaction. And I believe in the Big Bang Theory. I believe that happened. And that there was life on Earth before humans. So and everybody's always told me that my whole life, like everybody that's religion, like, you know, God's gonna come back, and you know, and that's when we need to repent our sins and ask for forgiveness. And it's just like, I mean, I don't want to go deep into it, but I just can't see God coming back, I guess is where I'm coming at. Like, you know, everybody always says he is, though. But is he, though?
Yeah. It's interesting that they kind of, there's a good amount of people who are really concerned about it. And I guess in my opinion, maybe he will, maybe he won't. It's kind of hard to tell. And maybe that's a lot of these questions I think that he's asking here. I think they're very valid questions. But sometimes in my opinion, I mean, I don't know. I didn't create the universe. I don't know if there's God or not. I'm kind of like indifferent. Maybe that's not a very good way to put it, but like, I don't know. Maybe
I have to see it happen. Like I didn't see the universe get created, you know.
So
like,
maybe you don't know. It's hard to tell.
Right.
But I think maybe he will, maybe he won't. And maybe it'll happen during our lifetime, and maybe it won't. These are like really big questions for maybe something that humans don't have the capacity for, maybe necessarily. Right. And we just don't know. Right.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know.
Yep. Just don't have all the answers, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody says you coming back to man. Why the hell's it taking so long? Why do I hurt? Why is there pain? Why does everything good always have to change? Why does everybody try to profit off another man's work then destroy it just for monetary gain? Tell me all you.
And you know, he did say, you know, why is there pain? You know, and it's a kind of a shitty situation, but he also says, you know, why does every man let me go back. What did he say?
Profit off another man.
Okay, hold on. He says, why does everybody try to profit off of one man?
Everything good always have to change. Why does everybody try to profit off another man's work then destroy it
for momentary gain? And I feel like that is the world we live in, where, you know, people will build you up, make as much money they can. And I feel like a lot of these, like, not even just in the music industry, everywhere, they'll break you down just so they can make more profit.
Yep.
You know, and it, like, I feel like people work off of people's fears and mental state so they can make more money.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you know, because we talked about, you know, my band, and I feel like it was the same way. You know, we got signed as a band, and then, you know, we signed a contract, and then the contract, then later they wanted to change it, and, you know, I said no, I'm not gonna, you know, that's not gonna happen. And, you know, I know Johnny Ray and Ethan will probably comment below more detailed, because I'm kind of foggy on it, but, you know, they pretty much wanted to break us up because their mindset was it would be way too expensive when we could get the same amount of gain with one person than it would be with 5 or 6 people. So that's where they were, you know, like, okay, so we signed the band and we have everybody. Then we did the rap rumbles where they didn't allow the band. So it was just me and my guitarist. Then we made it to the finals. So their whole thing was, we did that without a band. So let's save money by eliminating the band and having just me get up there. And I wasn't cool with that. And that's where it all went downhill from there, because we did sign a 5-year contract and we had 2 years remaining on it. And so, you know, that's where I was like, I'm not okay with that. I'm not, you know, cool with that. And, you know, so we couldn't release music for 2 years without them having their fingers in it. And so that was a whole, and I feel like that's just not just the music industry, but everywhere, you know, whether it's, you know, a Fortune 500 company, you know, they'll take, you know, like taking people's ideas, making millions off of it, not giving credit, you know, patents getting stolen, and this, all this other stuff. You want to join me?
Oh, yeah.
My kid's going to join me here. All right. I can't really see you. All right, let's go back here.
their pain. Why does everything good always have to change? Why does everybody try to profit off another man's work then destroy it just for monetary gain? Tell me, are you black or are you white? I don't even really care, I just really want to know what's right. They've been saying one thing, but I've been looking in the book, and it seems like they've been lying for my whole damn life. Tell me where I'm going.
And that's a whole nother thing too. Like, nobody knows what God looks like. But, you know, you talk to some people, you know, he's white, he'll be black, you know. Can Daddy talk? Here, hold on one sec. And, you know, everybody wants to describe what God looks like, but nobody really knows. Like, does anybody even know if Jesus was white? Or is that just like the image that...
Oh, he definitely was not. I'm fairly certain he was not.
Right. So, I mean, it's just like...
He grew up in the Middle East.
Like, right. But...
I mean, it's a very, like, yeah.
But, you know, every photo of Jesus, he's a, you know, white man with long hair. So it's like, nobody really knows, you know, and it's just like he says, like, are you white or are you black? I don't really care. And, you know, that... Right. And he couldn't have said it any better because it doesn't really matter.
I thought he said, I just want to know what's right.
Yeah. Hold on.
That was like later. That was after what you said.
In the book, and it seems like they've been lying for my whole day. What's right? They've been saying, tell me, are you black or are you white? I don't even really care. I just really want to know what's right. They've been saying one thing, but I've been...
Right.
Yeah. He says, are you white or are you black or are you white? I don't really care.
I don't know what's right.
Hold on.
Here we go.
Chill out. All right.
Looking in the book, and it seems like they've been lying for my whole damn life. Tell me where I'm going. Where is it, heaven or hell? I just hope this message greets you well. Had a dream that I was walking with the devil. Don't remember how it feels, but I swear that I remember the smell. Looked me right into my eye and told me everything I wanted could be mine if I gave up and decided to sell. But I said I'd rather die than get mine. Now I'm here. No fear, one man with a story to tell. Dear.
All right. So this part right here, he's saying everything could have, you know, he took a walk with the devil. And the devil said everything could be yours. All you have to do is sell your soul. And I always look at everything like everything possibly could be the work of the devil. You know, if I believed in the religion heavily, as far as like, you know, because I mean, obviously he didn't really walk with the devil, and I feel like what he's referencing is whether it's a person. You know, because I don't think he's signed. I believe he's independent. And I believe, you know, like, because everything I feel like he's mentioning has a double meaning. And I feel like...
Oh, for sure.
That, you know, because, you know, let's go back.
Everything I wanted could be mine if I had a dream that I was walking with the devil. Don't remember how it feels, but I swear that I remember the smell. Looked me right into my eye and told me everything I wanted could be mine if I gave up and decided to sell.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like, you know, he had a chance to get signed. And they said, look, we can give you all this, but you got to sell your soul to us. You know, and I feel like a lot of the cases, if you don't have, if somebody looks at you and you don't have profitable gains, you'll never get signed. And which sucks is because a lot of these artists that I listen to aren't signed, but they're better than the people who are making millions and millions of dollars. They just sold their souls to get it. You know, and it's...
Yeah, that brings up a really good point. And I think maybe one of the things that he's battling with here is, and I've seen this happen with, I mean, we all have with mainstream artists, is that once you get signed, there's certain things that you have to follow, and you're not yourself anymore. You're owned by somebody.
Yep.
And you have to create certain types of content. If you want it to be on the radio, you have to be able to kind of, and you know, artists find a way around it. But yeah, and it brings up an interesting discussion on like, well, is something genuinely yours if you're being paid to kind of be and act a certain way, or like the way that artists change once they make it and like whatever. But I think what he's saying kind of has a lot of meanings about walking with the devil. I mean, that could mean a lot of things, you know, making bad decisions. I mean, you could say that everyone sins, right? So like maybe he's talking about a lot of things, and maybe, but I mean, he's talking about being signed. So maybe it does have to do with that. But I mean, I think we all struggle with that, making decisions that maybe isn't good for yourself or maybe good for the people around you, but we make hasty and impulsive decisions sometimes.
I've done a lot of that. So
we all have, right? So it's, you know, and grappling with the consequences of that sometimes. But is it the devil, or is it just you dealing with yourself? I mean,
Right.
I think that this is sometimes it's, I mean, some people call it religion and some people call it the universe. Some people call it, it's hard to
Right.
say. I don't think that humans really have the answer to it.
Right.
Some people say that they do, but I don't think that anyone truly has the answer. They just have a strong belief,
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously going a whole different route with it. Like as far as like a deeper, whether or not this whole song's almost like a double entendre, where
Absolutely.
he's obviously making it sound like he's talking to God, but referencing obviously what we, the people, experience. So the whole
Absolutely.
song is definitely a double entendre.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking with the devil, don't remember how it feels, but I swear that I remember the smell. Looked me right into my eye and told me everything I wanted could be mine if I gave up and decided to sell. But I said I'd rather die than get mine. Now I'm here, no fear, one man with a story to tell. Dear God, where were you when I needed it? When I fucked up and repeated it? When they set the bar and I exceeded it? My life is like a book that they've been judging by a cover, but I've never took the time to fucking read the shit.
Okay, so now he's going a whole different route now. Now he's saying, yo, God, where were you when I needed it? Like, where were you when I set the bar and exceeded it? And he's pretty much putting his whole life, like, my life is a closed book, but nobody took the time to read the shit. And, and if you did read it, it might have been, his life might have been a whole different story, but now he's just going at it like, like my life is a book that nobody took the time to read, So now he's questioning God, like, where were you? So, I always ask myself that, like when things go bad, is like, why? But I mean, and obviously there's different groups of people will give me a different answer. So,
Sure. This doesn't have as much to do with the song, but something that because I feel like that too. And again, this is very relatable. And maybe not on the same level as this guy, but these concepts of like, wow, things are kind of like not looking so great. Like, where are you? But
Right.
it's funny because a lot of times, and I'm not blaming him. I'm just kind of bringing up a relative topic here. That people are quick to say, where were you when things were bad? Not being thankful for when they were good.
Right.
And I think it's very easy to be like, it's easy to get upset when things are bad. But to not be thankful for the things that you have, it's like a glass half empty versus a glass half full.
Yep.
And I think one thing about all of this too is sometimes things, and I don't know, maybe I don't really know enough about this guy specifically and his story to maybe say anything specific to this, but it's sometimes, like, for example, when you get a rejection letter, for example, like, it might be very easy to say, wow, where were you when I really, really needed this? But maybe that wasn't yours to have. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that who you are is a culmination of things that happen to you, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, like I said, that may not even be relevant to this guy's story specifically.
Right.
But maybe like a counter argument to the whole, well, God's not real because I had some bad things happen. Like I said, I honestly don't know. I'm not really on either side.
Right.
Just like kind of a valid, I guess, maybe counter argument to all of that. Like I said, I don't really
My
know.
state of mind is everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Whether it's some higher power or if that just, what life has for me, and it just, everything happens for a reason. And
There's
I always,
that you needed.
Right. And what doesn't kill me always makes me stronger.
Exactly.
Like if I was to step back in music, would I sign another contract? Probably not. Would I make music just because I love to make music? Of course. If I knew what I knew now 10 years ago, 100%, we'd be having a whole different conversation. I'd still be making music, and everything else. But, that road has already been traveled and now I'm on a new one,
right?
So.
And maybe in your specific situation, that contract didn't work out because you wouldn't have a lot of the things that you have now, or at least you'd have them, but in another way, if it had worked out in that way. So, you're where you need to be. And
obviously that was an impulsive sign. We all seen, money. Like we all seen paid shows. We all seen, paid tours and in housing, for events,
dream. Right.
and that's what we seen. And, we took it, and when we really should have had somebody look at it. And, but
lesson learned.
Yeah, lesson
Huge
learned.
lesson.
Everything happens for a reason,
When they set the bar and I exceeded it. My life is like a book that they've been judging by a cover, but have never took the time to fucking read the shit. I remember telling you my goals and my dreams, but you didn't even answer, so I guess you didn't believe in it. I remember sitting with a gun to my head trying to ask you for some help, but I guess you didn't believe it. I don't want religion.
Okay, so that was, you could almost hear the anger that he has.
Yeah.
He's like, I remember sitting here with a gun to my head asking for help, but I guess you what do you say? But I guess you didn't believe in it.
Believe in it.
Yeah. And that's deep too. And like when you actually need, when you're in a mental state where you feel like you actually need him and then he doesn't respond, because
frustrating.
Yeah, because now it looks like the first part of the song he was asking questions, and now he's like,
Angry.
Now he's angry because like he's like now kind of debating, like, what do I actually believe in? Like, do I believe you exist? Like, are you really here? Because when I held a gun to my head and asked you for help, I guess you didn't believe that I actually needed the help. And again, that could go multiple ways with people who are actually religious, and people who don't believe in it, and I don't know. It's hard to really go deep into it without offending a giant group of people. It's like one of those tread carefully songs.
Yeah.
The makeup, the makeup is actually really good.
Yo, they did great. Yeah, costume, makeup, everything.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
It's like a book that they've been judging by a cover, but have never took the time to fucking read the shit. I remember telling you my goals and my dreams, but you didn't even answer, so I guess you didn't believe in it. I remember sitting with a gun to my head trying to ask you for some help, but I guess you didn't believe it. I don't want religion, I need that spirituality. I don't want a church, I need people to call a family. I don't want to tell my cities.
Okay, and that's another thing too. Like, my aunt always tried to force me to go to church, but so to believe in God, and it's just like what he said. He says, I don't need to go to. Well, I think he said, I don't need to go to church.
Religion, I need that spirituality. I don't want a church, I need people to call a family.
I don't want to go to church. I don't need to go to church. Wait, what do you say? Hold on.
I guess you didn't believe it. I don't want religion, I need that spirituality. I don't want a church, I need people to call a family.
I think he's. It's kind of hard to hear what he's saying.
He said that he doesn't need religion, he needs spirituality, and he doesn't need church, he needs a family.
Okay. Yeah. Which it is true. Like, I guess I heard something else, but I couldn't really figure out. It almost seemed like he was saying, I don't need to go to church to say I have a family. But I guess what you're saying actually, but it's hard to actually decipher what he's saying right here, because I don't know. But you could actually be right. Let's do this one.
Didn't believe in it. I remember sitting with a gun to my head trying to ask you for some help, but I guess you didn't believe it. I don't want religion, I need that spirituality.
Yeah, he says, I don't need religion, I need that spirituality.
I don't want religion, I need that spirituality. I don't want a church, I need people to call a family.
I don't want a church, I just need people to call a family. Yeah, you were right. And I mean, that's pretty much, truthful. Like, your family's gonna help you more than a church could ever help you, in my opinion. Because I feel like my family's gonna guide me through whatever issues I'm facing. A church is only gonna guide me as far, and even if a church did help you, I feel like the answers the church would say is turn to your family, for help. And because there's only so much a church can do. And I feel like a family could definitely give you the help needed to get past that problem.
I think he's feeling pretty lonely, and I feel like he's feeling in some ways, and I think a lot of people could say this, that they're maybe they feel like under pressure to be a certain way based on church. And I think another thing too is that maybe, if he really is lonely and he feels unsupported in his endeavors and stuff, probably one of the things that he's struggling with is feeling like there's not enough people around him to help guide him. If God isn't there to help him, who's going to be there if he can't help, if he feels like he can't help himself?
Right.
And that's where like he needs the family.
Yep. 100%.
I want religion, I need that spirituality. I don't want a church, I need people to call a family. I don't want to tell my sins to another sinner just because he's got a robe and he went to some academy.
Okay, so in the he's mentioning, I'm assuming the confession booth. I don't want to tell my sins to another sinner because he wears a robe and went to some academy. And so yeah, so he's kind of going at it like I shouldn't have to confess my sins to a guy at if we're saying like, you know, the whole God and being super religious, like I don't want to tell my story to a servant or my sins,
somebody who's also a sinner,
right, to somebody who's also a sinner who has sinned, when all he wants to do is confess his sins to God. You know, he feels like, you know, like I'm not gonna tell my sins to another sinner just because he's wearing a robe and went to some academy.
right? He's questioning the difference between the two of them.
Yep.
Sins to another sinner just because he's got a robe and he went to some academy. I don't want to read it in the book, I want to hear it from you. Don't want to learn it in my school because they hiding the truth. Don't want to talk about it to another fucking human being, and that's the only reason that I even step in this booth.
Okay, and he says he doesn't want to hear it from anyone else but him, and he can't learn the truth in school because they're just lying to him. You know, or he doesn't want to read it in a book.
It's not
right.
coming exactly from him.
Right.
From God.
Right. And I mean, I don't blame him, you know, because you don't, in our minds, we don't know what's real and what's not. And he said that in the beginning. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the beginning, he goes, I don't know what's real and what's fake, you know, and it's hard because you can only believe what you want to believe.
Yeah.
I talk about it to another fucking human being, and that's the only reason that I even step in this booth. Dear God. How do I take this darkness and turn it into light? How do I believe in the concept where I speak to a man I've never seen with my own two eyes?
And that's another thing too. Like now he's saying like, how do I believe in something I can't even see? You know, like how do I believe in a concept speaking to a man that I haven't even seen with my own two eyes? And again, that goes in like you have to believe in what you want to believe, whether if you want to believe God exists or you don't. You know, nobody can make that decision for you but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
How do I believe in the concept where I speak to a man I've never seen with my own two eyes? How do I know that religion wasn't made just to separate the world and create a whole sky just to keep us?
And that's another thing. You don't know that religion, because he just said, how do I know religion wasn't created to create separation? I believe is what he just said.
How do I know that religion wasn't made just to separate the world and create a...
Okay, to separate the world, which we don't know. You know, again, we only can believe what we want to believe, you know, whether it's, you know, the Holy Bible or whatever religion, you know, has as far as scripture goes. You choose what you want to believe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's definitely, I feel like it's definitely been used as a tool to separate before. I mean, we've seen it like, it was like in the 1400s or something. They were like giving out tickets to heaven or something, like selling them.
Oh yeah, yep.
But I feel like, and it's been segregated before. Like I know in the Catholic Church, it used to be that like women and men couldn't. It depended on the country, but they couldn't sit in the same like mass. Like they had to be separated.
Oh really?
But
Okay.
But it's, you know, it's really interesting because I mean, this again, it happened so long ago. I mean, who's to say that it wasn't or that it was? I mean, no one alive today, to my knowledge, was around then.
Right.
So how would we know? We just have like the stories that have been brought down and we have this really old book.
Right.
And again, I feel like this guy is really having some internal conflict right now.
Right.
And he feels like maybe some of his answers could come from God, but God, if he exists, I don't think that he communicates in the same ways that humans do, because I don't think that God is human.
Right.
So if there, I mean, like I said, this is all kind of theoretical.
Yeah.
I'm not like a theologist, but
right.
I think it's very deep questions. I don't think anyone really has the answer to. I think some people have maybe some good, maybe they have like some good things to bring to the table and some good kind of topics to kind of touch on. I don't think that anyone really truly has these answers. And the interesting thing is I think a lot of people struggle with this at some point or another, or in some form or another.
Right. I mean, and I agree. Like, I always, when something bad happens, before, I got my life together, I always said, like, man, are you even real? Is God even real? Like, why am I going through the things I'm going through when he's supposed to be protecting us? And it's just, you only really think it when the bad things are happening.
Yep.
But, and it's like you said, you try to talk to him when the bad things are happening, but you don't thank him when the good stuff happens.
Yep.
And it's, everybody thinks it's a one-way road. If you believe,
right.
you believe in God, yeah, he'll forgive your sins, but you should also thank him for the good things that have happened,
And life is what you make of it too. I mean, I think in some ways we could all be suffering if we wanted to. It's what you focus on,
right.
I mean, not to say that suffering isn't real, but I mean, like, I could say, oh, I don't have as much work as I want, or I didn't get to eat at my favorite Mexican restaurant tonight, so that means my life sucks, But, in some ways you could say, oh, well, I do still have food in the refrigerator, so, like, I'm thankful to have a meal today. Or, I may not be making as much money as I want to, but I still have work. It's kind of just the perspective that you have. And it sounds like this. But when things really, really get bad, it's easy. I think that's a rabbit hole that's easy to go down and get stuck in. And that's where people really start to question, does God exist because all these bad things are still happening? I mean, even when they're not happening, I mean, look at what's happening in the world right now. I mean, there's countries where governments are like silencing their people, and there's poverty, and there's homelessness, and there's starvation, and there's like all these really terrible things. And if God is so great, why did he also create these things too? And but those are answers that humans I don't think that humans can answer those things, because those are just they're not always the responsibility of one person or one organization, or if their questions are asked to God, that's not something that we have information for, I don't think.
I feel
so really tough.
So just off topic, this is the second time I've heard you talk about Mexican food, because you did talk about it on your stream. Are you hungry for Mexican food?
I love Mexican food. I just love Mexican food a lot. That's really what it boils down to. And I have this favorite Mexican place down the street that I love going to. I have to cancel it. So I did mention it on my stream. It's because I had forgotten that a friend of mine and I are supposed to go there tomorrow, and I need to call and cancel. So I guess I just have it on my mind now. Like, oh, I can't go get those enchiladas and that margarita that I really want. I can't.
All right, let's go back a little bit.
So I take this darkness and turn it into light. How do I believe in a concept where I speak to a man I've never seen with my own two eyes? How do I know that religion wasn't made just to separate the world and create a whole disguise just to keep us in these chains while the rich get richer and the poor pray to you and perpetuate a lie? How do I know this ain't some big joke?
Okay, so, and again, like he's kind of going in the hypotheticals. Like, how do I know, religion isn't, to get the rich richer and keep the poor, to believe in a lie, to kind of control us. Is not now he's going in the hypotheticals now, playing with greed. I kind of like the way he's kind of going with, like, how he broke, the whole song up.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just to keep us in these chains while the rich get richer and the poor pray to you and perpetuate a lie. How do I know this ain't some big joke? How can I have faith when there is no hope? How the hell does one man have $100 billion and we still have people on the street that are broke? There's a lot of things I want to talk about and get off my chest. I can't sleep because the devil won't let me rest. I used to know a fucking pastor in a church, and I can still hear the screams of the kids he will fucking molest. Dear God!
Okay. I mean, I don't mean to laugh at that part. Okay. But I feel like
getting kind of deep. These are a lot of these questions just keep escalating.
I feel like the song would have still been great without that part. And it's okay. So I don't mean to laugh because it's a terrible situation what's happening. But there is a lot of, priests and pastors, but there's always a few bad apples in every group that you can't, and we talked about this, and it goes with race and everything else. And because there's a bunch of, you know, I don't want to say a bunch because I don't know the actual percentage statistics, but there is bad priests and pastors who do molest children, and it is a fucked up situation. And I don't mean to laugh, but I just feel like that part of the song, that particular line or bar or however you want to break it down, could have been left out. But I see where he's going with the song because he's mentioning all the issues and hypotheticals. And, you know, whether or not he can actually still hear the children scream, that he actually does, you know, obviously I don't know his life. Maybe it is true. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for laughing, but it is what it is.
I think I laughed out of shock value. You know, the thing about this, that he brings up a good point. This is exactly what he said before with the whole, he doesn't want to confess his sins to somebody who's basically the same as him. Yeah. And again, I would go back and say it the same way that I said, you know, it's easy to get all upset when things are going bad and then not be grateful when things are going good. Yeah. The same thing I think is that he's looking for perfection. I think in some ways, and this might be maybe a hot take or like maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think he's putting everyone around him on this pedestal, like they should be perfect and that they need to have things to give to him maybe, or like, and that he's going to point fingers and say, oh, well, the guy in the confession box can't sense because he's not perfect either. But, and this is a huge flaw in religion. And I believe in this. And I mean, I've seen it, is that unfortunately, even though religion is, you know, organized religion, I mean, like churches, for example, is supposed to be a reflection of the religion itself. Yep. It's still, whether God is involved or not, it's still kind of organized by humans and therefore is inherently imperfect. Right. Like that's just the way it works. And I think that, like you said, it was perfect the way you said it. There's bad, you know, bad apples in every group. There's officials in religion, just like there's bad and good officials in the government, bad and good, everything. But I would like to also say another thing too that I think is really important to this song, and again, not as much about the musical part, but I guess like the more philosophical side, is what makes things inherently good or bad. Not the whole pastor thing that he was just talking about. Right. But again, it's really easy to get stuck in, well, this is bad because it didn't get, I'm not getting the response that I want. Right. But maybe that doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, let's go back to the thing that you said about the contract that you signed, because that's something that you talked a lot about. Yeah. Maybe it was good that the contract didn't work out we don't live in that timeline. So it's hard to tell what you're missing out on. It's all hypothetical, really. Right. I mean, maybe that was a good thing. I mean, there was good things that came out of that. Maybe not for your band, but it's hard to compare what's good and what's bad from what we currently are working with. Right. And for this guy, he's talking about a similar thing where he's, you know, walking with the devil and could have gotten signed, but he's, you know, having all these things. And I think they're fair points to have, but I think it's also important to say, well, there are some, again, this is not a very good time to be talking about this because the pastor thing just happened, and I'm not saying that any of that is good. I know. But I'm just saying that like there are some good things that happen too that are not being mentioned in this song. But it sounds like this came from a really, really dark place. And it's, again, when you're seeing only dark, you're seeing all these bad things. It's really easy, again, like we were talking about with the politics earlier, it's really easy to go down that rabbit hole and say, look at all these bad things and it's terrible and blah, blah, blah. Right. But the good things coexist with the bad things. I think it's really, it's really unfortunate that the good things are not also considered too. Yeah, you know? 100% agree with you on that. All right.
$100 billion and we still have people on the street that are broke. There's a lot of things I want to talk about and get off my chest. I can't sleep because the devil won't let me rest. I used to know a fucking pastor in a church and I can still hear the screams of the kids he will fucking molest. Dear God, do you hear me? I'm supposed to fear you, but you ain't said shit. So maybe it's you who actually fears me. I don't know the answer, I just want to see it clearly. So many lies, 1,000 different theories. All I want to know is who really made religion, because I know it wasn't you, but don't nobody believe me. No more lies, no more death. Bring back King, bring back X. Please, dear God, let their souls rest. Protect who's left and watch their steps. Dear God, I don't want to have to ask you again. I just hope that you know that I'm still a believer. So I'll end this all by saying amen.
Well, that's a good
Wow.
thumbnail for that song. So okay, so even after all these hypotheticals and questions, he ends it with, just so you know, I'm still a believer.
Yep.
And so I mean, he definitely. I don't think I think everything he brought up was valid questions.
Yeah, 100%.
And everything he said, we all think it. And,
Oh yeah.
And that, when I first heard this song, and because this song came out, was it 2020 or 2019? 2019. So when I first heard this song, like, it's got 36 million views. That's a lot. It kind of hit me because when I was younger, I did go to church, but I never thought to ask anybody these questions, and, he pretty much, it was relatable because all the questions he asked, like, why does one man have $100 billion, but we still have people that are homeless and broke and have no money?
Right.
Yeah. And there's all these questions, that I do ask. And, I mean, that was a great song.
Yeah, I think, it's definitely thought provoking. I think he asks a lot of very interesting questions. And again, kind of like we've been talking about, is a kind of a relevant theme about how he brings to light, he sheds light on all these questions that are really, really hard. And I think that they're multifaceted and it's stressful. It's a lot happening. And I think
It really
it's
is.
very interesting. It's not an easy song to listen to because there's a lot of uncomfortable things that are touched on it. And I think that it makes you think, for sure.
Right.
Which I like. I do like that.
So that was your first time hearing Dax.
Yeah, I've never heard Dax before.
So I mean, it's not really a good song to kind of hear him rap because it was kind of like a deep song. But what was your overall experience with this song and Dax?
I think that he has a lot of thoughts, and I think that he put at least the thoughts that he was trying to say. Everything that we've listened to today, I think that that it was put with music very tastefully. I think that he asks a lot of interesting questions, and I can see why this isn't like a popular song on the radio because it's just it weighs heavy on your heart,
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a good song. Like,
well,
I said,
it's a touchy subject,
right?
And I can see where the industry's like they're not ready to play that for the mass. I mean, he still has 36 million views, 36.4 million.
Good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And it's October, so it's a year and a half old. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of views. I mean, regardless, YouTube's the new radio. Whether.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that song, when he released the song, it went viral, went everywhere, and I mean, because everybody.
Relatable.
Yeah, and everybody can relate at least to one part of this song. And he did a good
questions, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he definitely did a good job, relating to everybody in one song. Like, he's got 1 million, thumbs up, 36K thumbs down. I don't know what the thumb downs is, but I mean, that's a pretty good ratio, I'd imagine.
A lot, and if nothing else, it's a lot of people reacting to his stuff, which means he's being heard and he's being seen.
Right.
I think it's also interesting how much money he put into the video itself.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, the production value was crazy. That was an insane, like, they pretty much filmed the whole movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely insane. All right, well, we're gonna call it there for that video. If you like our reaction, make sure you hit the like and hit the subscribe. Comment below what you want to hear next. We have MissKroger. Make sure you follow her socials that way. I got it that time. And yeah, so we appreciate everybody's that listens. Make sure you guys follow her socials. She's a good person. Love doing the collab reactions because it's putting a fresh mind on things, and definitely love to hear your opinion on some other stuff. So I hope you're having a good time doing reactions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so much fun. I love this.
Breaking stuff down. Well,
Yeah,
like I
absolutely.
said, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, comment below what you want to hear next, and we'll see you guys next time.